Good morning, everybody. We're going to talk a little bit today about analyzing the audience. And after this PowerPoint, there's a little quiz at the end of it, and I'll go over the quiz with you. Um, so you might want to open up Analyzing the Audience PowerPoint to read along with me. Um, as I have indicated in previous videos, we have to know who we're speaking to. So audience analysis is one of the first places you start. If you haven't been asked to speak specifically about some particular topic, then and somebody says to you, this may happen if you speak before a place like the Rotary Club or some other club asks you to speak, and you say, what can I speak on? And they say anything you choose. You are going to have to find out about your audience. If you have been told you're going to speak about a particular topic, you still need to analyze the audience, because not for reception of the topic, because the topic's already been selected for you, but you need to analyze them on the basis of how you should tailor your speech to reach the audience, to entertain the audience, to inform the audience, or to persuade the audience. Whatever you're going to be doing in this speech, whatever your purpose is, you have to know what language to use, how to go about it, what things to leave in, what things to leave out, that sort of thing. So audience analysis is the study of a specific audience for a particular speech. Good speakers are audience-centered. That's an important quality for you to have. You must be focused entirely upon the audience. Not look at me, what do you think of me, but look at you, how are we going to please you, the audience? And so what is audience-centeredness? Keeping the audience foremost in mind at every step of your speech preparation and presentation, and that means even before you deliver your speech, while you're preparing your speech. Remember to ask yourself what's in it for them, not what's in it to make you look good, what's in it for them to make it worth their while to listen to you for 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes. So these are the questions we ask about audience-centeredness. To whom am I speaking? Exactly who am I directing this speech to? What do I want them to know, believe, or do as a result of my speech? You need to know what your objective is. What is the most effective way of composing and presenting my speech to accomplish that aim? These are the three biggies. Remember those, please. Slide 5. How do you go about the analysis? Lots of different ways, and it depends on where this audience is located. Is it a club? Is it a group of students? That sort of thing. So the audience can be observed or solicited by survey. So if you know fairly well in advance that you're going to be speaking to the Rose Club, people who garden or who specifically garden with roses, you'll want to hand a survey out at one of their meetings that occurs before you go to speak to them. Question the person who scheduled the speech. If somebody called you and asked you to speak, ask your questions of this person. Make intelligent guesses. We do that in all phases of our lives. We make intelligent guesses as we approach people, how to talk with them and that sort of thing. Gather essential audience demographic data in order to determine the majority of audience members. So, you could do this through asking the person who called you, asking the president of the group, that sort of thing. Making predictions of the audience level of interest in, knowledge of, and attitudes towards you and your topic. This is extremely important when we get into the more controversial topics, and that's why we're not going to approach those in this course because they waste a lot of time when we end up with unhappy audiences and unhappy speech givers. Age, education, gender, occupation, income, and culture. I want you to remember these things as the main demographic elements. Demographic meaning things that give you information about that group of people, a demographic. Age, education, gender, occupation, income, and culture. And in that big word culture, we're going to talk about political beliefs, or we're going to consider political beliefs and religious beliefs, because those, the older you get, the more you will realize that a person's religion or lack of religion and a person's politics have a huge impact on every other aspect of their lives. So here we are on slide 6. Here are some points to make. Good speakers understand the psychology of audiences. All you have to take is one really, really good basic psychology course, and you'll begin to understand the psychological makeup of one person, and then how that one person's psychology affects the psychologies of the other people in the room. Part of this involves identification with the audience. You need to know enough about the audience to know how to be simpatico with them, to know how to word things so that you don't hurt people's feelings, that you don't insult people. And so we ask the question, what is identification? Identification is creating a bond with listeners by emphasizing common goals, values, and experiences. We don't want to focus on those things that make us different from each other. We want to focus on those things that make us similar to each other, but also to get the audience to understand that you know them. You might even say things like, I know that you blah, blah, blah. I don't happen to feel that way, but I know that you do. And I'm just going to take that into consideration as I speak. In other words, keep their frame of reference in mind. We spoke about the frame of reference. It's very important. We all have a different one. So if you're speaking to a crowd of 1,000, which I did one time, it was kind of mind-blowing until you got to the point where you could just see them all as one lump of humanity. I can't know each individual out of 1,000 people. I can't know every single person's psychology. We go on to slide 8. A speaker's task is to make, please remember this will be on a test. This audience want to hear this speech at this time. I could give this speech at this time to a different audience, and I would have to give the speech differently. So please remember, this audience want to make this audience want to hear this speech at this time. Audience adaptation is the active process of directing your speech material directly to a specific audience. Audience adaptation is something that the speaker does. The audience doesn't adapt to you. You adapt to the audience. Please remember this. On 10, what is egocentrism? It is the tendency of people to be concerned above all with their own values, beliefs, and well-being. I once asked, how can we avoid being arrogant? Well, then keep the audience totally in focus. Stop thinking about yourself and what you're in this for. Continue to think about the audience and understand and consider their values, beliefs, and well-being. What is a target audience? It is a specific segment of your audience that you most want to address or influence. This is when your audience is mostly heterogeneous. In other words, when your audience is mostly not the same. Your audience is made up of a lot of different people. A homogeneous audience is when just about everybody is the same. About everything. You're speaking on abortion, and all of these people are anti-abortion. Okay, so you have a homogeneous audience to speak to. I want you to remember that when you talk about a target audience, you're not talking about the entire audience. You're talking about a part of it. You cannot convince or entertain every single person in your audience. So if you want to persuade an audience, you're not going to look at people at that far end or that far end. You're going to want to look at the middle section of your audience. These people are persuadable. All right, I'm going to stop it right here, and we'll continue in just a minute.